Your prompt broke this morning. Maybe ChatGPT updated overnight. Maybe you switched models to save money. Maybe you just noticed it's been giving you garbage results for the past week. Whatever happened, you're here now and you need to fix it. Before you do anything else though, before you start randomly tweaking things, before you panic, you need three things. 1. Save your current prompt somewhere safe, even if it's broken. That's your baseline. 2. Find 2 example inputs that you can test with repeatedly. One with a normal scenario and one with a tricky one, an edge case. 3. Ask yourself, can you clearly explain what this prompt is supposed to do and what a good prompt looks like? If you've got those 3 things, you're ready for the systematic process I'm about to show you. So here's what I see happening all the time with small business owners using AI. A prompt breaks, and the first thing they do, they start randomly adding things. Be more detailed, be comprehensive, make sure to include the executive summary. Or worse, they just start throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks. It's not really a process, that's guessing. And most of the time, it doesn't work. Look, I've spent 26 years in data science and analytics, including building some AI systems. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, there is a systematic way to fix broken prompts when models update. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. I'm Rob Fernango. This is the AI Growth Accelerator, and by the end of this video, you're going to have a clear step-by-step process that actually works. No guessing, no panic, just a plan that you can follow. Now, before we dive into the process, let me explain what's actually causing this problem in the first place, because understanding why prompts break helps you fix them more effectively. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, all these companies are constantly updating their models. And these updates can change how the model interprets your instructions. Sometimes the new model is more literal than the old one. It needs way more explicit instructions. Sometimes it's more concise by default. You actually have to tell it, give me detail, because it naturally wants to be brief. Sometimes it just has different formatting tendencies, and it prefers bullet points when you need paragraphs, or vice versa. Now, here's what's important to understand. This is not a bug. The new model isn't broken, it's just different. So you might have a custom GPT that's been generating your monthly sales report perfectly for 6 months. Then a new model version drops and suddenly your reports are missing the executive summary section. Or the tone is too casual, or the formatting is completely different. Nothing you did caused this. The model just interprets your instructions differently now. And yeah, that's annoying. But there's a systematic way to handle it, and I want to show you that. Now, before we dive into that plan, I need to address something, because I know what a lot of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Rob, why can't I just give my broken prompt to ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to optimize the prompt for me? Wouldn't that be easier than this whole systematic process? Yeah, that's a completely legitimate question. And honestly, you're not wrong to ask it. So let me show you exactly what happens when you try that approach and why we need something different. You absolutely can ask the AI to help optimize your prompt. I'm not saying you can't, but here's what you need to understand. It's not a replacement for the systematic process. It's a tool you might use within that process. And here's why. Problem 1. The AI doesn't know what good means for your business. When you ask an AI to optimize this prompt, it optimizes for what it thinks is good, not what you actually need. So let's say your business needs a concise 200-word report with specific revenue metrics. That's what you need. Your executives are busy. They want quick summaries. You ask the AI to optimize your prompt, and the AI, thinking optimization means more thorough, makes your prompt generate a 500-word comprehensive analysis. Now, by the AI standards, that is better. It's more detailed, it's more complete, it's more thorough. But for your business, it's worse. Your executives don't want essays, they want summaries. See the problem? The AI doesn't have access to what we're going to call your prompt success card. We're going to build that in just a few minutes. But the AI doesn't have your test cases with real business data. It doesn't know the consequences of its outputs in your actual workflow. The AI can make a prompt better in a general sense, but only you know what better means for your specific needs. Problem 2, and this one's kind of fascinating from a logic standpoint. You're asking the model that's struggling with your instructions to rewrite those instructions using the same logic that caused the problem in the first place. Now think about it like this. Imagine you gave someone directions to your house and they got lost because they interpreted turn at the big tree differently than what you meant. Now, imagine you asked them before they ever successfully even got to your house to rewrite your directions based on their understanding. Well, they're going to make the directions clearer according to how they interpreted it, but their interpretation was the problem. You'll get something like turn at the large oak tree, when what you really needed was turn at the second stoplight. So the same thing happens here. ChatGPT 5 interprets be professional differently than ChatGPT 4 did. You ask ChatGPT 5 to optimize your prompt, and it rewrites it using its interpretation of professional, which is exactly what caused the issue in the first place. The new model's fix is based on its own tendencies, which might be exactly what you're trying to work around. Problem 3. When AI models rewrite prompts, they almost always make them longer, not better. And here's what typically happens. Your original prompt might be 150 words, clean and simple. You ask the AI to optimize it, and the AI's optimized version could be 400 words. And here's the kicker. The actual improvement is minimal or sometimes non-existent. You've just got more words. So let's imagine your original prompt might be something like analyze sales data and create a monthly summary. It's 8 words. It's clear. But the AI optimization becomes, please carefully analyze the provided sales data with attention to detail. Make sure to create a comprehensive monthly summary that includes all relevant metrics and trends. Be thorough in your analysis and ensure accuracy. The summary should be professional and suitable for executive audiences while remaining accessible and clear. It's 50 words. And notice that it didn't actually add any specific requirements. It just added fluff. Be thorough, ensure accuracy, be professional. None of that's really concrete. Now, you might care about prompt length, especially if you're using APIs where you're paying per token, and the AI won't optimize for that. It just adds more instructions. We'll address this in the trim phase that I'll teach you later on, where you'll learn how to remove what's unnecessary, but the AI won't do that for you. Problem 4. When AI makes multiple changes at once, it's harder to track what actually changed. If the AI writes your prompt and makes 5 or 6 modifications simultaneously, you have to carefully compare the before and after to understand what's different. And here's the thing, when you're tracking multiple simultaneous changes, it's easy to miss something subtle that the AI modified. Not because you're incapable of reading and understanding the changes, but because tracking many changes at once is inherently harder than tracking them one at a time. The AI might have changed your tone instruction, reordered your steps, and added new constraints and modified your formatting requirements all at once. And you might catch 3 of those changes, but miss that it also altered when you wanted the summary to appear. So when you make those changes one at a time using this systematic process, you'll know exactly what changed because you did it deliberately and with intention. And if something breaks later, you'll know where to look. You won't be trying to remember, wait, what did the AI change in that rewrite 3 weeks ago? The systematic process helps you stay in control and gives you understanding. And that understanding is valuable. And problem 5, the AI can't test against your real use cases. The AI can make your prompt sound better, sure. It can clean up the grammar, add some structure, apply some general best practices, but it can't validate that the prompt actually works for your specific scenario. It can't test the prompt against your November sales data. It doesn't know that your report must never exceed 300 words. It doesn't understand that top 3 products is mission critical, but market trends are optional. Only you can test whether the optimized prompt actually solves your problem with your data. Now look, I'm not saying never use AI to help optimize. I'm saying use it within the systematic process and not as a replacement for it. So here's the right way to do it if you want AI to help. Complete your diagnostic work first. Fill out your prompt success card, and we're going to create that in a minute. Create your test cases if you don't already have them. Test your old prompt with the new model. Document specific failures. And then if you want, ask the AI to optimize, but give it specific constraints. Don't just say, optimize the prompt. Instead, try something like, here's my current prompt. Here are the specific test cases where it's failing. Here's what success looks like. It must include these things. It must not include these other things. It has to have a maximum of 200 words. Rewrite this to fix the failures while meeting these requirements. Focus on replacing vague instructions with specific ones and don't just add more words. Now you can test what it gives you. You can actually run it with your data, check your criteria, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, you use what you learned as a starting point and apply the systematic process I'm going to show you now. Here's the bottom line though. AI should be your tool, not your decision maker for business requirements. You know what your business needs. The AI is good at implementing those needs, but not at defining them. So yes, you can use AI as a collaborator in the process. Just don't let it replace your understanding of what you actually need. All right, with that cleared up, let's get into the actual systematic process that works. All right, step one in the actual process, and this is critical. So if you're multitasking, come back to me here. Before you change anything in your prompt, you need to write down what success actually means. Not what you think it means in your head. It needs to be written down. It needs to be documented. So I'm going to give you a simple template that takes about 5 minutes to fill out. I call it the prompt success card. And it's just 3 questions. That's it. Question 1. What job does the prompt do? 1 sentence. Just one. Don't overthink it. For our monthly sales report example, right? And we're going to use this example throughout the video. The answer is analyzes monthly sales data and creates an executive summary for leadership. Done. Moving on. Question 2. What must the output always include? Make this a checklist and be specific. So for our sales report, it might be month-over-month comparison, top 3 products by revenue, specific revenue numbers, or one explanation of the biggest change. Notice that these are concrete things that you can check for in the results, not vague stuff like be thorough. These are actual elements that you can verify are present or absent. Now, question 3, what must the output never do? This is another checklist. And for our sales report, this would include never invent metrics that aren't in the data, never include opinions or predictions, never exceed 300 words, or never use informal language. Again, these are binary. Either it did this or it didn't. There's an optional 4th question if you want to get really precise. What can vary? These are things like the exact wording can be different. The order of the top 3 products can change if revenue is close. You know, the stuff that doesn't matter for your business needs. Now, here's why this 5-minute exercise is so important. Without this written down, you're going to make subjective, does this feel right kind of judgments that aren't consistent. You'll look at an output and you'll think, yeah, I guess that's okay, without really having something to gauge success with. With this success card, you can literally check boxes. Did it include the top 3 products? Yes or no? Did it exceed 300 words? Yes or no? Did it invent a metric? Yes or no? There's no guessing, no vague feelings, just clear criteria. So take 5 minutes right now if you're following along and playing the home game. Pause the video if you need to. Fill out a prompt success card for your broken prompt. I'll be here when you get back. All right, step 2. You need test cases. At a minimum, you need 2. One typical scenario and one tricky scenario or edge case. The test case one is your most common use case, the thing that you do all the time. For our sales report example, that might be November 2024 data. It was a normal month that had typical sales, nothing weird was happening. And your test case 2 is your most complex or edge case scenario. Maybe that's a month where sales dropped significantly, or you had a product launch, or you're comparing Q4 to Q1 and the numbers look completely different. Whatever represents a harder challenge for the AI to execute with that prompt. For each test case, you're documenting 2 things. First, the exact input you're feeding the prompt. Save the actual file, right? The actual data. You're going to run these examples multiple times during the migration, so you need them to be consistent. Second, you need your checklist based on the prompt success card you just filled out. So for our November 2024 report, we might have a prompt success card that looks like this, where it says test case number 1, And we have a file for our November 2024 monthly report that's a November sales data with a CSV format. And we have a checklist that says it must include these 4 things. And then we have another checklist that says it must exclude these other 4 things. Now, look, I'm saying 2 is the minimum, not the ideal. If you have more test cases, great, use them. More test cases are helpful if you have truly distinct scenarios like monthly reports versus quarterly reports, or if edge cases are common and costly for you. But here's the reality. Most solo entrepreneurs and small business owners don't have 10 perfectly documented test cases just laying around. And that's okay. 2 good ones are going to beat no test cases every time. So this is practical guidance, not perfectionism. We're trying to get you unstuck, not create the theoretically perfect testing environment. All right, you've got your success card, you've got your test cases. Now we're ready to actually start the process of migration. Now, step 3 is critical, and I'm going to be really clear about this because most people will skip it. Do not change your prompt yet. I know. You can see what's wrong. You want to fix it. You've already got ideas about what to add. Just don't. Here's what you need to do instead. Take your exact existing prompt, the one that used to work on the old model, and run it with the new model. Feed in your test cases, the test data, and document. Write down what breaks. I know the temptation here. You're looking at the results and thinking, oh, I can see the new model needs more detail, so I'll just add be detailed while I'm testing. No. Think about taking your car to a mechanic. They need to see what's actually broken before they start fixing things, right? If they just start replacing parts before they've diagnosed the problem, they're going to be guessing. And they might fix it by accident, or they might waste your time and money by replacing things that were working just fine to begin with. The same principle happens here. For our sales report example, we might run the November data through the new model with the unchanged prompt. We check our success card criteria. And the result? We might find the report's missing the executive summary section entirely. Everything else looks fine. The data's there, the format's mostly right, the tone is professional. Just no executive summary. So document that, write it down. The new model skips the executive summary section. Now we know what we're dealing with. Now we can diagnose it properly. All right, this next part is where most people go wrong. And it's also where the real skill building happens. When your test cases fail, and they probably will on the new model, you need to classify each failure as one of 2 types. Type 1 is an execution or process problem. This means the model's doing the wrong steps. It's doing steps in the wrong order. Maybe it's skipping steps entirely, or it's misunderstanding what the task actually is. Type 2 is an output format or style problem. And this means that the model is doing the right thing, but the output looks wrong. The formatting is different. Maybe it's getting bullet points instead of paragraphs. The tone is different. It's casual instead of formal. Or maybe the structure is different. It's combined sections or has the wrong length, that kind of thing. Now, here's why this distinction matters so much. It tells you where in your prompt to make the edits. If you use one big monolithic prompt where everything's in one place, then an execution problem means you need to edit the prompt where you describe the task and the steps. A style problem means you need to edit where you describe the format, tone, and structure for the output. And if you use a system prompt plus knowledge documents, which is common for Claude projects or ChatGPT projects or Gemini gems, then an execution problem typically means you're going to edit the system prompt, while a style problem means that you're going to edit the knowledge document. So let's diagnose our sales report problem. The report is missing the executive summary section. So ask yourself, did the model skip a step, or did it do all the steps but format the output wrong? In this case, it skipped a step. It analyzed the data, it pulled the numbers, but it never generated that executive summary section. That's an execution problem. So we need to edit where we describe the workflow, not where we describe the formatting. And let me give you a couple of other examples so you can see how this works. Your customer email responses are coming back too casual. That's a style problem. The tone is wrong, not the steps. Maybe you have a blog outline that's giving you 3 sections instead of 5 from the prompt. This one's interesting because it could be execution or style. You need to think carefully. Is the model misunderstanding how many sections you want, Or is it completing the task but structuring it differently? In that case, it's probably execution. It's not following your instructions about the quantity. Now look, the better you get at diagnosing correctly, the faster your migrations are going to be, because you're making targeted changes instead of just randomly trying things. This is a skill. You're going to get better at it each time you do this. All right, you've diagnosed the problem. Now let's fix it. But first, a quick break for something important. Hey, real quick, if you're getting value from this systematic approach, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps small business owners find this video instead of just randomly tweaking their prompts and getting frustrated. And subscribe to the channel if you want more no BS AI guidance that actually works for small business. I test this stuff with real business problems so you don't have to figure it all out from scratch. All right, now let's go ahead and get back to fixing your prompts. Okay, here's where we actually make changes to your prompt. And there's one rule that's absolutely critical. I need you to remember this throughout the entire fix phase. Change one thing at a time. And if it doesn't work, revert back to what you had before. This is where most people completely sabotage themselves. They'll make 3 changes at once, something improves, and they have absolutely no idea which change actually helped, or if it was the combination, or if it would have worked with just one of them. So here's the right way to do this. First, you make one specific change. Second, you test it with your test cases. 3, if it improves, you keep it. This is now your new baseline. 4, if it doesn't improve, you dial it back and revert to the previous version before trying something new. Number 5, repeat that process. So here's the wrong way to do that. The wrong way would be that you make change A and it doesn't work, but you go ahead and leave it in. Then you go ahead and make change B, which also doesn't work, and you leave it in as well. Then you make change 3 and something improves and you celebrate. And now you have changes A and B cluttering up your prompt for absolutely no reason. So why does reverting matter so much? Because failed changes can actually make future changes less effective. Change A might be subtly conflicting with change B in ways that you don't necessarily see. Or you might later discover that change B alone would have worked perfectly, but you'll never know because change A is still in there messing things up. So let me show you how this looks with our sales report. Version 1 is our original. Summarize the report would be the phrase that we have in there. And the test result might say it's too short. So in version 2, we add be comprehensive. And the test result is that it's still too short. So our action then would be to remove the be comprehensive and go back to version 1. Then in version 3, we change it to say summarize in 3 paragraphs, findings, implications, and recommendations. And the test result is we've got the perfect length and structure that we want. So our action then is that we keep this change. This is now our new baseline. And in version 4, we could add in include specific data points. And the test result is that it's even better. Our action is then that we're going to keep this change as well. Notice that we went back to version 1 before trying version 3. We didn't just keep stacking changes on top of each other. We reverted and dialed back the failed attempts and then tried something new. That's discipline and that's systematic. So what type of edits should you actually make? Well, when the model needs more explicit instructions, you don't just add vague emphasis. Here's what doesn't work. If your original says be thorough, a bad fix would say be thorough and comprehensive and detailed. You're just adding in synonyms and it doesn't really help anything. But what would work would be to replace be thorough with include number 1, an executive summary, number 2, 3 key findings with supporting data, and number 3, recommendations. See the difference? One is vague piled on top of vague, and the other is structurally explicit. So when the new model has different formatting defaults that don't add more description, that's not going to do anything. Our original might be write a professional summary. And a bad fix would say write a professional summary that's more formal and appropriate for executives. Again, you just added more vague words. But a good fix would be write a formal summary, no exclamation points, no casual language, no emojis, 3 to 4 sentences. These are concrete constraints and specific boundaries. So here's the principle I want you to internalize. Prefer replacing over adding. When something isn't working in your prompt, look for opportunities to replace vague instructions with specific ones. Don't just pile more words on top of the vagueness. If your prompt says, be detailed, but the new model is still giving you short outputs, don't say, be detailed and provide comprehensive information. Instead, replace the be detailed with target 400 to 500 words. It's basically the same token count, or sometimes even less, but way more effective because it's specific. This is what I mean when I say the process requires attention to detail. You can't be vague or sloppy here. You need to be precise. So think carefully about what you're asking for and how to make it concrete. All right, so you've made your targeted changes. You've tested them one at a time. Your prompt is working now and all your test cases pass. Most people would stop here, but there's one more critical step that separates a good migration from an excellent one. Okay, here's something about prompt migration that might surprise you. When you're done, your prompt can often be shorter than what you started with. Not always. Sometimes you're adding specific instructions to replace the vague ones, and that might make it longer. But your goal here is maximum efficiency, and efficiency is often going to mean fewer words. So here's why efficiency matters for your business. First, there are costs. If you use an API to send your prompt to an LLM or an AI, every token in your prompt costs you money. And if you're running this prompt repeatedly, like a monthly report, that adds up over time. Second, you've got maintenance issues. Longer prompts are harder to debug when something goes wrong. There's just more places for things to hide. Third, there are conflict risks. The more instructions you have, these are going to lead to more opportunities for contradictions. One part of your prompt might be telling it to do one thing that conflicts with another part of the prompt. And fourth, you've got context space issues. The longer a prompt is, the more room it takes up in the context window, leaving less room for your actual content, your data, your inputs, all that stuff that matters. So here's the trim process. And this is where you really optimize things. Once your prompt is working on the new model, meaning all the test cases are passing consistently, you're going to systematically remove instructions one at a time. And you're going to retest the prompt after each removal. If the performance stays good, keep it removed, leave it out. You clearly didn't need it. If the performance degrades, then put it back and continue until you've tested removing everything that's non-essential. Now here's what to remove first, in priority order. Number one, get rid of the obvious fluff. Things like, please, just state the instructions directly. If possible, try to. No, just tell it to do X. You want to say, if you said make sure to ... Again, just state what it should do. Number two, redundant instructions. Be detailed and comprehensive. That's something you see in prompts a lot. Pick one. You don't need both. They mean the same thing. These are synonyms. If you've got two sentences that say the same thing, combine them into one. Number three, vague qualifiers. If you're using words like generally, typically, or usually, these add words but no real instructions. Number four, examples. If you have multiple examples showing the same thing, see if one example is enough. Number five, your core instructions. Only test removing these last. These are the actual requirements. But sometimes you'll find that what you thought was a core requirement is actually redundant with something else. Okay, now check this out. This is a real example of what trimming can do. So before trimming, we've got 275 tokens here, right? Please analyze the sales data carefully and thoroughly. Make sure to calculate the month-over-month change and try to be as accurate as possible with your numbers. It would be helpful if you could identify the top performing products. Please write a professional summary that would be appropriate for executive audiences, keeping in mind that they need detailed information but also value conciseness. Try to provide comprehensive insights while staying focused on the most important findings. Okay, that's a fairly lengthy prompt. After trimming, we can get it down to 85 tokens though. Analyze sales data, calculate month-over-month change, identify top 3 products, write a formal executive summary, 200 to 250 words, with specific numbers and key insights. This will give you the same functional output, but with 68% fewer tokens. So you've got less cost, it's easier to maintain, clearer instructions, and likely going to lead to better results. And that's the difference between good migration and excellent migration. And look, this trim phase, this is where you really learn how prompts work. You're testing what's actually necessary versus what's just noise. You're building the intuition about what AI models need to hear and what they don't need to hear. This is the skill building. And every time you do this, you're getting better at writing tight, effective prompts from the start. All right, I need to talk about something important here because sometimes, not often, but sometimes, migration just doesn't work the way you want it to. And you need to know when to stop. I call it the two-strike rule. If you've made 2 targeted adjustments and see no improvements at all, then stop adjusting and start diagnosing differently. So why 2? Why not 3? Why not 5? Because if 2 well-targeted changes don't help at all, something else is going on. You're either diagnosing the wrong problem, or you're fighting the model's natural tendencies and losing, or you're using a model that's just not suited for your task. So here's what to do when you hit that second strike. Step back and ask yourself 3 questions. 1, am I diagnosing this correctly? Go back and really look at the outputs. Is this truly an execution problem, or is it actually a style problem? Reread them all carefully and figure out what the real problem is and diagnose that. 2, am I fighting the model's nature? So maybe the new model just works differently and you need to restructure your ask to work with its tendencies instead of against them. 3, do I need a different model tier? So if you move from ChatGPT 4 to ChatGPT 4.0 mini to save money, you might have lost some capability. So consider whether you need the more powerful model for this specific task. It might not be a prompting issue. It might just be the model you're using. So here's what this looks like in practice. Let's say you keep trying to make the new model more verbose. You've added be detailed and gotten nothing. You've added provide comprehensive analysis, still nothing. Okay, stop there. The new model might be optimized for conciseness. That's just how it's built. And instead of fighting that tendency, try working with it. Give it a specific target, say 400 words minimum, or include 5 specific examples. Work with the model's tendencies, not against them. Now, before we go any further, I need to tell you something that might save you a lot of time and frustration. Not every prompt should be migrated. Sometimes, again, not often, but sometimes, the right answer is to start fresh. Here are the clear signals that you should rewrite from scratch instead of migrating. Signal 1, you can't fill out the prompt success card. So if you're struggling to answer what job does this prompt do, or what must the output include, or what must it never do, if those questions are genuinely hard for you to answer, then you don't understand your own prompt well enough to migrate it. And that's okay. I mean, this happens. What you should do is figure out what you actually need first, then get clear on your requirements, then write a prompt to do that job. Starting from scratch with clear requirements is almost always going to be faster than trying to fix something that you don't understand or seems confusing. Signal 2, the prompt is huge and unclear. Look, if your prompt is over 1,000 words and you honestly don't know what most of those instructions are doing, that's a sign. If it was cobbled together over months by adding stuff every time something broke, and now it's this tangled mess, that's also a sign. And the reality check is untangling that mess might take longer than just rewriting it cleanly. So what you need to do is extract those core requirements, make the success card, then write a clean prompt that implements just those requirements. Signal 3, it was already unreliable on the old model. Now, you have to be honest with yourself here. Was this prompt really working consistently on the old model? If it was giving you inconsistent results even before the update, migration isn't your problem. The original prompt was flawed. And migrating a flawed prompt just gives you a flawed migration prompt on a new model. So what you need to do then is use this as an opportunity to build it right. Define success criteria clearly, then write a prompt that reliably delivers what you need. And signal 4, you've hit the 2-strike rule multiple times. If you've diagnosed an execution problem, tried 2 fixes, nothing happened, reverted, then diagnosed a style problem, tried 2 fixes, nothing helped, then you reverted, then tried a different diagnosis, 2 more fixes, and still nothing. If you've been through this cycle 3 or more times, you're fighting the prompt. You're not refining it. And what you need to do at that point is take your success card, take your test cases, and write a new prompt from scratch designed for the new model's tendencies. And here's what I want you to understand. There's no shame in starting over. None. Sometimes the fastest path forward is to take what you've learned, your success card, your test cases, your understanding of what the new model needs, and build something clean. A good prompt written in 30 minutes will beat a migrated mess you've been fighting for 4 hours every time. Starting over isn't failure. It's often the smartest strategic choice. Now let's talk about something that nobody mentions in technical tutorials, but is absolutely real. This process can be frustrating. And I mean, like, really frustrating. And that frustration is legitimate. You're not doing this wrong if you feel frustrated. Think about what's actually happening here. You had something working and it broke through no fault of yours. Now you have to spend your time fixing someone else's problem, right? The model provider's update, instead of doing actual business work for your business. And you might try multiple things that don't work before you find what does. Yeah, that's genuinely annoying. So here are some practical strategies for managing that frustration without giving up. Strategy 1 is to set a time limit. Work for 60 to 90 minutes maximum on this, then take a real break. I don't mean a check your email for 5 minutes break. I mean an actual break where you step away. Because after 90 minutes of troubleshooting, you stop seeing clearly. You start making sloppy changes, you forget to revert things, and your brain needs a reset. So come back with fresh eyes and you'll often see the things that you mixed. Strategy 2, use good enough for now. If you have a version that works 80% of your use cases, you can use that version while you continue optimizing. You don't have to solve this all at once. Use the 80% version for your actual work today and spend another hour next week getting it up to 95%. The idea is progress over perfection. Strategy 3 is knowing when to ask for help. If you've been working on this for 2+ hours across multiple sessions and you're still stuck, and it's completely okay to ask for help, post your success card and test failures in the AI Growth Accelerator community tab right here on YouTube. Drop a comment in the video. I check those things regularly and I'm happy to offer suggestions. Or if you need more in-depth help, hire someone who does this professionally for a few hours. Use this as a learning experience for the next time, but get help now for this specific problem. Your time has value, and sometimes getting expert assistance is the smart business decision. Strategy 4. Remember the bigger picture. This specific migration, that's a temporary pain. The skills you're learning about how to diagnose problems, how to test systematically, how to work with AI models, how to write tight, effective prompts, these are all permanent. Every model will update again. Every AI tool will change. The process you're learning right now will pay dividends forever because of that. You can do this. It's not complicated. The steps are straightforward, but it does require attention to detail and precision. This isn't something you rush through in 5 minutes. You need to be systematic, careful, and methodical about following the process. If you're sloppy or vague, if you skip steps, don't test it properly, make multiple changes at once, you're going to struggle. But if you work through this carefully, the process works. And you know what? Every time you do this successfully, the next migration gets faster. You're building a skill that's going to compound over time. All right, so you've been working through the process. Things are looking better, and the prompt seems to be working. So how do you know when you're actually done? Well, here's your completion checklist. If you can check all of these boxes, you're done. Ship it. Checkbox 1. Your test cases pass consistently. Both of your test cases meet all criteria from your prompt success card. And not just once. Run each test case 3 times. The results should be consistent across all runs. Then don't forget to start a new chat if you need to clear the history out and get a clean run. If you're getting 5 sections in a report one time and 3 sections another time with the same input, then you're probably not done yet. Checkbox 2. Your trim is complete. So you've tested removing all of the non-essential instructions. You kept removing until performance degraded, And you reverted that last removal that hurt performance. So your prompt now is as short as it can be while maintaining quality. Checkbox 3 is an understanding check. You can explain what each major section of your prompt does. You know why you made each change during the migration, and if someone asked, why is this instruction here? You can give them an answer. Checkbox 4, your documentation is complete. This one's optional, but it's highly recommended. You've written down what you've changed and why. Future you, maybe a teammate, somebody on your team that works for you, they want to understand your decisions. And having that documentation will be helpful for doing that. Notice that I said consistent earlier, not perfect. I said as short as it can be and not absolutely minimal. You're looking for reliable enough to use in your business, efficient enough that you're not wasting money, and understandable enough that you can maintain it. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. If all the boxes are checked, ship it and move on. You've got a business to run. All right, let's bring this whole thing home. Model updates used to be kind of scary, right? Something that could just break your carefully crafted prompts with no warning, and you'd have no idea what to do about it, and you know it was going to take hours to change and fix. Now you have a process. You document what good looks like with a prompt success card. It's 3 questions, takes about 5 minutes. You're going to create your test cases. 2 is fine. If you have more, that's great, but 2 is fine. Test your unchanged prompt on the new model so you know what you're dealing with and what's broken. Then diagnose whether those broken parts are execution problems, style problems, or both. Then you're going to fix them methodically, 1 change at a time, and you're going to revert the changes that don't seem to make any improvements. Next, you'll trim the bloat and make it as efficient as it can be. Then you'll validate it's actually working consistently. You don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to panic when you see that update notification. You test, you diagnose, and you fix methodically. Then you trim. And you end up with prompts that are often better than what you started with. And here's the thing. This isn't about fixing broken prompts. It's about understanding how to work with AI in a way that's sustainable for your business. You're building a skill that will serve you every single time models change, which they will regularly. You're learning how to think systematically about AI problems, how to test instead of guess, and how to be precise instead of vague. And those skills are going to compound over time. Your first migration might take you a couple of hours. The second one is definitely going to be faster. And by the 5th one, you'll be moving through this process much more quickly because you fully understand it through and through. You've got this. I know you do. I'm Rob Fernango. This is the AI Growth Accelerator. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.